the flight London to America. Among them is Devon, a middle-aged black man in simple attire, quietly finding his seat. Steward Rohan, known for his quick judgments, watches with a raised eyebrow. He sees Devon's worn-out coat and deduces he must be traveling on a discount fare, even though he's not sure. Meanwhile, the flight is bustling with families, students, and business people. Rohan, itching to maintain strict discipline, notices Devon struggling with his seatbelt. Rolling his eyes, he strides over and scolds him loudly, drawing attention from nearby passengers. Some cringe but stay silent. Others nod sympathetically at Devon, who remains calm. No one could have predicted what happened next, the voiceover teases, fueling the growing tension. Devon casts a gentle smile, as if used to such treatment. Little do they all know that Devon holds a secret that could shake the airline to its core. Rohan, oblivious, continues the pre-flight checks, setting the stage for a dramatic journey. As the engines roar to life, the cabin lights dim, signaling takeoff. Devon gazes out the window, reflecting on past journeys where he witnessed judgments based on appearances. The hum of the aircraft soothes him, even as Rohan shoots occasional glares in his direction. A curious passenger named Priya sits a few rows behind Devon and notices Rohan's harsh tone. She senses something unusual about Devon, as if he carries himself with quiet confidence despite the steward's rude behavior. Mid-flight, Rohan announces the meal service. He deliberately hands Devon a cold tray, skipping the usual courtesy and asking if he wants any beverage in a dismissive tone. Passengers around them exchange glances, some uneasy, some indifferent. Devon merely thanks Rohan, unfazed by the snub. Priya can't shake off the feeling that Devon is not the poor passenger Rohan imagines him to be. She wonders why he endures such treatment so calmly. Unbeknownst to everyone, each passing moment is edging closer to a dramatic revelation neither Rohan nor the other passengers can foresee. As turbulence hits, the seatbelt sign flashes. Rohan moves hurriedly down the aisle, ensuring everyone complies. When he reaches Devon, a disdainful look crosses his face. He roughly nudges Devon's shoulder, demanding he fix his belt properly. Devon complies, never raising his voice. The jolt intensifies, causing rattling trays and shifting luggage in overhead bins, adding to the tension. Priya, watching from behind, feels uneasy. She's read about cases of discrimination on flights, but never witnessed it so blatantly. Despite the bumpy ride, Rohan continues his rounds, showing extra politeness to certain well-dressed passengers while ignoring or belittling those he deems unworthy. Across the aisle, an elderly gentleman named Mr. Singh notices Rohan's behavior. Though he shakes his head in disapproval, he remains silent, afraid to stir conflict. Meanwhile, Devon's gaze remains steady, revealing neither anger nor fear. Outside, lightning flickers across the horizon. Inside, a different storm brews, one of prejudice and silent endurance. No one can guess how these tensions will culminate once the aircraft safely touches ground. The turbulence subsides, and an announcement informs passengers that dinner service will begin again. Rohan resumes his tasks, but his frustration is evident. He spots Devon resting with his eyes closed. Feeling emboldened, Rohan loudly comments, "Some people just expect extra treatment without paying for it." A few passengers glance at him, shocked by his insinuation. Devon opens his eyes and calmly meets Rohan's gaze. There's a flicker of disappointment in Devon's expression, but he maintains composure. He quietly asks for water, and Rohan rolls his eyes before handing him a half-filled cup. Priya, observing from her seat, can't help but feel an urge to intervene. Yet, she hesitates, unsure how best to address the steward's hostility. Meanwhile, in the cockpit, the captain and co-pilot remain unaware of the drama unfolding in the cabin. They're focused on navigating weather updates and finalizing flight protocols. Each passing minute draws the flight closer to its destination and closer to a revelation that will test everyone's assumptions, including Rohan's unshakable prejudice. Soon after, a technical glitch causes the in-flight entertainment to flicker, pulling some passengers out of their silent observations. Rohan, irritated by everything happening at once, barks orders at the junior flight attendant to reset the system. In the midst of this minor chaos, Devon calmly stands to stretch, careful not to disrupt the service. Immediately, Rohan storms over, admonishing him to remain seated. His voice resonates with undue severity, prompting side glances from other travelers. Priya musters enough courage to whisper to Rohan, "He's just stretching his legs. You could be a bit kinder." Rohan dismisses her remark with a dismissive shrug. The mood in the cabin becomes tense. Even those who tried ignoring the steward's behavior can no longer pretend they haven't noticed. Devon once again quietly obliges, returning to his seat with a polite nod. Observing from the back, Mr. Singh grows increasingly uneasy. He wonders if Rohan's anger stems from a deeper bias, something that could explode into a bigger issue before the plane touches down. Midway through the flight, the lights dim for rest. Most passengers doze off, but Rohan remains restless. He keeps glancing over at Devon, seemingly anticipating any excuse to reprimand him. Devon rests with his eyes half closed, appearing neither asleep nor fully awake. His demeanor almost suggests he's evaluating every detail around him. At one point, Rohan's manager, Rita, notices his constant hovering. Softly, she suggests he take a break, but Rohan shrugs her off, claiming he's just maintaining order. Rita has worked with Rohan for months and knows he can be strict. However, tonight, his behavior seems targeted. She makes a mental note to observe more closely. Outside the windows, the nighttime sky glitters with stars. Inside the cabin, tension thrums like a low-frequency hum. Priya drifts in and out of sleep, half expecting to hear another confrontation. Mr. Singh gazes at his watch, calculating the remaining hours until they land. Meanwhile, Devon remains an enigma, calm, patient, and intriguingly unaffected by Rohan's relentless scrutiny. When the aircraft begins its descent, the cabin lights grow brighter. Passengers stir awake, adjusting their seats for landing. Rohan, systematically moving through final preparations, once again lingers near Devon. Irritation flickers in his eyes as he notices Devon's seatbelt lying loosely. Without warning, he gives a sharp tap on Devon's shoulder, hard enough to be called a small slap. A gasp escapes from Priya, who witnesses the moment. Mr. Singh looks on in alarm, and a ripple of murmurs spreads among nearby passengers. Devon calmly tightens the seatbelt, offering no protest. His silence speaks volumes, intensifying the unsettled atmosphere. By now, Rita has caught wind of Rohan's persistent hostility. She steps toward the aisle, prepared to intervene. But the plane lurches slightly, forcing her to pause and maintain balance. In those tense seconds, Rohan's anger momentarily flashes across his face. Devon's composed reaction confuses him. Why isn't this poor-looking man retaliating or complaining? Unbeknownst to all, the greatest surprise still awaits at the end of this journey. The wheels touch down smoothly on the runway, and relieved passengers clap lightly. While the plane taxis to the gate, Rohan can't help but sense a lingering unease. He busies himself with disembarkation instructions, but his mind replays every interaction with Devon. Meanwhile, Priya hastily gathers her belongings, feeling an inexplicable urge to stay close and see what happens next. At last, the seatbelt sign switches off, and everyone stands. Rohan's manager, Rita, pulls him aside near the cockpit. In a hushed but stern tone, she demands an explanation for his behavior toward Devon. Rohan deflects, muttering about standards and protocol. Rita frowns and instructs him to wait for further directives. Devon remains seated for a moment, letting the crowd pass. Some curious glances are directed his way, especially from those who witnessed his silent grace under Rohan's onslaught. Priya hesitates in the aisle, torn between leaving and seeing the final confrontation. Unbeknownst to everyone, fate is about to reveal Devon's true identity in a way no one anticipated. Once the passengers have mostly deplaned, Devon stands and approaches the exit. Rohan is busy speaking with his manager in hushed tones, frustration evident in his posture. Suddenly, a high-ranking airline official steps into the aircraft doorway. The official greets Devon with respectful familiarity, calling him Sir. Rita's eyebrows shoot up in surprise. Rohan feels his heart skip a beat. The official quietly explains, "Welcome back, Mr. Devon. Your inspection flight must have been revealing." At these words, all the color drains from Rohan's face. Realization dawns. Devon isn't just any passenger. He's a silent owner, part of the airline's controlling board. Priya, still loitering nearby, watches the scene unfold in shock. Rohan stammers an apology, every ounce of his arrogance evaporating. His mind reels as he recalls every cruel remark and dismissive gesture he directed at Devon. Rita steps forward, apologizing on behalf of the crew, promising to address the misconduct. Devon, calm as ever, merely nods, preparing to say the words that will seal Rohan's fate. A tense hush falls over the cabin. Devon addresses the group, Rohan, Rita, and the senior official, his voice measured but unwavering. He explains that he traveled incognito to observe the airline's service firsthand. "Judging anyone by outward appearance can lead to serious errors," he states, glancing briefly at Rohan. Taking a deep breath, Devon continues, "We must treat every passenger with respect, regardless of how they look or what seat they occupy." Rohan, shaken, can barely hold his gaze. Rita delivers a stern warning, making it clear that discriminatory behavior has no place in the company. Priya, standing off to the side, feels vindicated, recalling her earlier instincts about Devon's true nature. Finally, Devon quietly forgives Rohan. "I hope you learn from this," he says, offering a gentle nod. As Devon exits, the remaining crew members stand in humbled silence.